Hey guys, Chronic Splendor here. I know I said last week I was going to try and make the video short, and it didn't really work out, but this week I'm really going to try and make this video shorter than I usually do, because I don't have as much to say as last week. There's not as much to talk about, and there's only a couple points I really want to make. So here goes. Well, first off, I really love the intro scene where Walt is at the lab, gets in early and has some coffee, and then he realizes that they have a motion tracking camera now, and he gets really mad and he just goes up to the camera and gives it the finger. And it was probably my favorite part of the episode just because right when it happened I just burst out laughing. It was great. Mostly all the other stuff that happened with Walt was between him and Jesse, and also him and Skylar. But the stuff that happened with Jesse this week was basically just adding on to what happened previously. Um, we continue seeing Jesse just being on a self-destructive path, partying and even going to the go-karts alone just to try and get his mind off everything that happens. And but one of the parts I really wanted to emphasize was when Walter kind of makes small talk with Jesse at the lab, but he doesn't really mean anything he's saying. And he's like, Jesse, are you okay? How are you feeling? And Jesse's like, fine. And then Walt's like, well, anything you want to talk about? And then Jesse's like, anything you want to talk about? Kind of talking back to him. Kind of echoing Walter's empty sentiments. Jesse realizes that Walt isn't really meaning anything that he says. He just wants to make it so that it doesn't affect the work. And so we have both of the characters are on separate paths here. Walter's just really concerned about what's going to happen next and what's going to happen to him, but not really to Jesse unless it affects him directly. And Jesse's more concerned about just dealing with everything that happened. And you can see that in this conversation, and Walter really kind of gets the message that, neither of them are really talking to each other about how they're feeling. And it's kind of, if you're going to make the effort to kind of discuss it, don't make like a half-ass effort, just put in the full, and Walter's not putting in the full, so Jesse calls him out on that, and that's one thing I really enjoyed also about the episode. Another side story going on this episode is between Marie and Hank, more delving into that new dynamic between the two of them and the tension that's there. A really concerning part of the episode is just Marie. She decides that she wants to visit homes, like open houses, and just basically make up stories about what her life is or what she wants her life to be. And she steals like one thing from every open house, and she gets caught doing this. And basically, we're to assume that it's how she's dealing with the situation. But the thing I really thought was effective was when the DEA guy or police officer or whatever, the buddy of Hank, when he's like, it's time for you to go home, and she starts crying. Clearly she's mad at Hank for just how he's inflicting all this pain on her, maybe not meaning to, but just how Hank is so mad about what happened to him that he's just bringing it out on the only person he can, other than himself. So Hank was basically in the same situation as he was in the episode before, in that he was still mad at Marie, and there's that tension that's just building and building. But the important thing that happens in the end of the episode is that his friend gives him the case file on the lab notes they found at Gail's apartment, and he decides to finally look into it, and this is how they're going to weave Hank into the season even while he's paralyzed, still weave him into the season as a DEA agent that's still after Heisenberg, and he's going to realize that this is Heisenberg and maybe even find out about Walt sometime soon at least. And this is a way for him to kind of deal with the situation. while still being what he was before. And finally, we get to see some more of Saul. He's one of my favorite characters from the past seasons, from when he's been introduced. And it was great seeing his part in the episode and the comedic kind of slapstick comedy that comes along with bringing him back into the series. The character I felt this episode really focused on was Skylar. You can see that she's really concerned for Walt and what's happening in the drug trade for him. Unlike Walt, with his half concern for Jesse, she's truly concerned for Walt and his safety. And basically, we see the power of her influence on that, in that she finally gets the car wash through basically tricky manipulation. And really, it just shows that it showcases the reality of Walt's life, not just the drug side, but what's happening in his real life, and just the way that she tells him to, stick to his story, and the devil's in the details. It really was her episode, I felt. Just another interesting point of the episode, before we wrap up, they give us a very short glimpse of another guy watching Walter and Jesse, kind of surveilling him. And I know it's not Victor, but I couldn't find any pictures of that, but kind of this guy replacing Victor, and we totally tell that they're not taking any risk with Walter this time. They're putting on surveillance in the lab and when he's not in the lab. So that was me being concise. Thanks to all the people that commented and liked all my videos and the people that subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. And I will see you guys sometimes next week. Hopefully I'll feel more proactive next week and get the new Let's Talk out, by Wednesday. Hopefully I won't wait till Friday next week, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.